me. So yeah, it's it's interesting when you make that decision and what shows up.
Yes, because then the universe provides you the divine opportunity to really take care of yourself.
Yep.
Yes. Okay, you made that decision. Let's see if you're going to stick to it and how well.
I can say that I know it sounds a bit strange, but I've made the decision to make decisions.
Perfect.
Yeah. I know even on Sunday when I was talking to you, there was 3 things I wanted to do at once and I couldn't make a decision. So I was just watching all of that. And because I wanted to do all 3 equally. But I really didn't make a decision. I just kind of went with what happened, which is good. I mean, it turned out very well. But I'm just watching where and when I'm making decisions and what I'm making decisions about. And yeah.
Yeah, because that's called paying attention, right? And really then, you step into a place of also taking full responsibility for whatever you're experiencing. Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
Can I say something about that too?
Mm-hmm.
Because even when I was kind of wishy-washy about decisions or letting them slide or whatever, it wasn't that I wouldn't take responsibility, but it was more of an attitude. If it was, I did it to myself, it's my fault. I was bad to myself. Or it's a different concept of,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, that's also, it's almost turning it in, the responsibility in a way to really beat yourself up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Which, is not responsibility. That's actually a reaction. Because responsibility is the ability to respond from that place of grace and love. So it's like, it's actually a reaction that can really give us the veil that, oh yeah, I'm taking responsibility because it's all my fault. But you're beating yourself up. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it exactly fits, but it's along those lines of awareness of being able to respond on my behalf. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Because also taking responsibility is being able to come back into spiritual truth and really know that the choice that you made and and circumstances that you're experiencing, whether they're constructive or destructive, you have that ability to still love yourself through it, no matter what. Cool. Anybody else? What was it like to write and speak your treatment each day?
Speak to that one first. I found that it got stronger and stronger each day. It's kind of went deeper and deeper, and it really hit home yesterday when Lena and I did our sort of conversation around our being prayer partners, and she said something to me. I thought it really helped me understand prayer better. She asked me a question. She says, "How would you feel?" When she's kind of pre-qualifying what my intention was of the prayer. How would it feel? Like, is there a visual or something? I thought, yeah, the visual is da 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 da. And that to me was very strong, was having a some form of visualization to guide me through the prayer. And I had never thought of incorporating that, but there was something visual that really was helpful for me. And it just felt like prayer was taking root. And it just got better and better. When Lena said that to me, I'm like, oh my God. And then I did my prayer this morning on my own, like, and I used that visualization. I'm like, oh my goodness, like it is so, it's taken root, and it's like, it's in me in a whole other level that was completely unimaginable. So it took me from like being okay to like, I feel I'm in a whole other place around prayer right now.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, it was really good.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And the prayer that you wrote out was beautiful as well.
Yeah, thank you. That's what I used all week, actually.
Mm-hmm.
But that the component of a visualization was so good. And so, as I said, it really, really took root for me using that.
Great.
Yeah, it was good.
Oh.
Okay, I'll go up.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it was, don't take this the wrong way. It was weird. It was weird. It was strange because I don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it was like really new. But I didn't find it as difficult once I decided it really wasn't that hard. And I kind of enjoyed it and sure worked right away. So I'm pretty happy with it. What can I say? And I've actually started to kind of write some others every once in a while. And I think it's now sitting, instead of just putting, kind of like what I want, I kind of write it out. So yeah. So anyway, something new for me, which I'm actually enjoying.
Wonderful. And I love it when, your description there of like, oh my God, that's weird. And it's what it's doing is it's confusing your intellectual self, your normal way of processing. It's shaking up all those neural pathways. So then it's like, you can open up and create something new.
Well, I've been fighting this for a long time because there are many people that have been telling me to do this. And I'm like, no, it's not for me. Like, I don't get it. I can't do it. There's too many words. It's too, I know what it is. I know the concept. I get it to work in my way, but to do it as a prayer. Yeah. So anyways, but it really just really came together once I, get rid of all the stuff about how it's like not for me and it's too difficult and I can't do it and I don't like it. And then it just came together. So.
That sounds like you made a very powerful decision, Angela.
Yes. About time.
Oh, thank you. Anyone else?
I've got a vacuum cleaner going in the background, so if you hear noise, just ignore it. But when I was in Bermuda, it was actually really great. But I'm in Cayman now and living in a one-bedroom apartment with Arthur, so I kind of said to him, I need to do this thing out loud. And it's just been so busy. I've been whispering it because he's been around all the time. So I don't know what I think about whispering a prayer, but anyway, it's what I'm doing. And it doesn't feel quite authentic, but it's, it's still in my own mind as good as saying it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially when you have an intention of being in that prayer and really taking it in. Because when a group of practitioners get together and it's a chamber of prayer, it's not so much speaking out loud like I am now. It does become sometimes a whisper or a mumble, or you hear things, or people are talking more to themselves. So it's a very inward journey, not so much, well, now I'm speaking this prayer. So yeah, still works. It's okay. Yeah. And what was it like for you to have a prayer partner this week?
It was great. When Lynette and I finished, I was just reminded of how truth is one, paths are many, and how similar, what she was talking about and what I was talking about. It's like, oh, okay. In many ways, very similar and yet different, unique in each case, and just reminded me of how connected we all are, incredibly connected.
Yeah. Cool. Anyone else?
I had somebody brand new, and it was just a joy to just expose her to the process, really.
Mm-hmm.
It was lovely.
Good. Okay.
Can I just add something?
Yes.
I had Margaret Ann, and she was so gentle and so kind about it because it was so new for me. So because originally when it was like, you're going to work with a prayer partner, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. But it was great. She could not have been the more perfect partner. So
beautiful. Yeah.
Thanks for pushing me, Helen.
Oh yeah, I like to nudge a little bit. And insights, like any like major aha. We're gonna go through chapter 3, but any like whammo thing that stood out for you in chapter 3, or an insight about yourself and relationship to it?
For me, I'm sure we'll be talking about this a lot, but it was that whole intuition piece.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's not what you're getting, from like, so that was like a whole, like, whoa, like this is a whole other, had never thought of it that way. So anyway, well, I'm sure we'll be talking about it later, but that was the biggest aha for me.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think for me, it was the complacency piece. I mean, there were lots of aha things, but the complacency, how that's, I can get complacent about certain things and really be quite uncomfortable in staying there, but not willing to do anything, not really setting an intention to shift.
Yeah. Our complacency can feel like a nice, warm, woolly, fuzzy sweater that we've had for years that we don't want to throw out, right? Because it's so familiar. Yeah. Okay, so let's go over and talk about some of the key concepts. And in what ways does seeing yourself as consciousness beyond the body improve your prospects for a good life? So consciousness is the ultimate of who you are. You are not your body. You are not your 5 senses. You are divine spirit. So how, in knowing and experiencing yourself, or understanding that really you are the divine in action at all times, how does that improve your prospects for a good life?
For me, that's what makes life feel easier most of the time. When you really embody that, and it doesn't happen overnight. For me, it didn't. But with all the work I've done, I just feel so good about that. It just, nothing else matters. Like nothing really matters, actually. I mean, it matters, but it's not the end of the world because there's no such thing. It just makes everything, I don't mean putting my head in the sand and just saying it's okay, everything's going to be okay. Everything actually is okay, no matter what shows up. it just feels, everything just feels right or right enough. You know, I don't get as excited about some things as I used to. When I say excited, like upset or angry, it just has allowed me to leave a lot of that behind,
Mm-hmm.
and it feels pretty good.
So, what is the value of detaching from a materialistic point of view? And I think you alluded to this a little bit, Lucy, about it's not about getting, right? It's not about the stuff we have. It's really about detaching from the things we have and the need for that, which really goes back to, it's a thread of ancient teachings in every ancient teaching around, and this is not about poverty by any means or having a poverty consciousness, but it's about not needing something in the materialistic world to prove your worth, to prove that you are valuable, which is something is very much a part of our conditioning on a collective consciousness level. So what's the value in detaching from that?
Helen, am I missing something, or are we not? Is there a PowerPoint to what you're doing, like a sheet? Because I'm still on the questions. The original question.
Actually, Helen, move your slide forward one because it's
Yeah.
on the next slide.
Yes, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So, oops, hang on. Did I jump ahead one?
No, I think you're still back one.
You're on the next slide, but we're not.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh.
I just went and looked at the email and saw what you were talking about.
Okay, hang on. Sorry about that. Thank you. Oh, I know why. Okay, there you go.
Thank you.
Now, oh, whoops. There we go. Got it?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. Oh, yeah, gotta like technology. So, now you can see it. What is the value of detaching from a materialistic point of view?
I know, like what I've been noticing this week after having read this was I am not my things. I am not the things that I have or the clothes that I wear or anything like that. And I found that in my conversations, even today with the dentist, it was an authentic conversation about just a beautiful exchange. Like we had such a good conversation, even the hygienist and so on. So I guess the point is that it doesn't, I don't know, like the vacations and the whatevers and the jobs or whatever, it doesn't really matter. It's what you bring to the table, your authentic self, your consciousness, whatever it is. And that is so much better for me, bringing that to the table. That feels so real. And the other stuff, I don't know, I just almost can't even, I'm not feeling like I really want to engage in the conversations of where you're going for vacation, where, those kinds of conversations. I'm not feeling it right now. And maybe I'll change. I don't know, but I'm not feeling that now with people. So it's just an observation from sort of my experiences as of recent.
Well, what I'm also hearing you say in that, Lucy, is that it's allowing you to really show up and be present and enjoy the connection with the other person.
Yeah.
Whereas so often, because we are conditioned to judge ourselves and others by the material world, and it's like, it's just you know, I think it's been that way for a very long time in our Western society. So to be able to, sorry, now I'm getting an echo all of a second. Are you getting it? How's that? Am I?
Now
You're
you-
muted. You muted yourself.
Okay, do you hear me now?
Yeah.
No echo. Okay. You might hear a dog bark once in a while, but without my headphones on. I'm not quite sure what happened there. So the idea of us being able to, you know, release all of that and not need that to prove our value and our worth, to be in that place of, I know who I am. And I am spirit, and you are spirit, and we are one, we are connected. It just beautifully, you know, in the most loving way, evens the playing field for everyone, because it allows for that oneness to blossom forth. Mm-hmm. Anybody else want to comment on that at all? So the power of mental visualization is imperative to bring spirit into form. So again, you touched on this, Lucy, when Lena invited you to really imagine what would that feel like for you to actually be experiencing it. And you created this mental picture of what that possibility is. And the more that we can create a clear mental picture of what it is we desire, that mental picture is spirit. It's creating this possibility, this mold that goes into the law to make it happen. So the clearer that you are in your mental picture, the clearer you're putting that into the law, and it must come into form. And it's, you know, the power of visualization also, your mind cannot tell the difference between what is real and what you are imagining. I just want to give you all a really quick experience of that. So if you'll just go with me and just close your eyes for a sec. And I want you to imagine that you are in your grocery store. And the regular grocery store, and maybe you hear the sounds, maybe you just get a sense of the feeling, the atmosphere of your grocery store. And I want you to walk over to the produce aisle. And in the produce aisle is a pyramid of lemons. I want you to actually use your hand and reach out and take one of the lemons from the pyramid. And beside you is a cutting board. So put that lemon on a cutting board. Just notice whether it's a bright yellow or more of a pale lemon, or lemon with green on it. Maybe it's bumpy. On that cutting board also is a knife. So I want you to cut the lemon in half. And then I want you to cut one of the halves into 2/4 sections. Now, take one of those quarter sections. I want you to hold it up to your nose and smell it. Now, open your mouth and suck on that lemon. Take a bite of it. And then you can put the lemon down. And open your eyes. So, how many of you could actually kind of get a sense of yourself in your grocery store? And how many of you could hear sounds in your grocery store? How many of you could feel the lemon in your hand? And actually see that pyramid of lemons? And when you held that piece of lemon up to your nose and then took a bite of it, what happened?
My glands already started reacting here in the neck area.
Yeah.
The jaw and the glands here.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else have that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody not experience anything? Okay. So that's how powerful your mind is. You weren't actually in your grocery store, but you could imagine it. You could create that mental picture. You could actually give yourself a physical sensation. And the lemon wasn't even there. So to be able to really have that mental visualization of anything that you desire, how you want your day to go, how you want to feel, how you want to show up, and you actually visualize yourself and create that, or you have that mental picture of your prayer being done and you're living it, and how that feels for you in your body, makes everything you do more powerful. Any questions or comments on that? Okay. So, as the thinker, you need to create a clear and decisive picture of your desire and let the subconscious mind bring it into being on the material level, which is basically what we just covered there. Knowing you are living in a world of unlimited potential without time or space means that you do not need to place limits on your demands of life, or you could say commands of life. So what does that say for you? Knowing you are living in a world of unlimited potential without time or space means you do not need to place limits on your demands of life.
It tells me how powerful each of us is.
Mm-hmm. And
Sorry, it also talks, well, me, it's about the value we give ourselves. It's unlimited. But how we, the conditioning is, I'm only God this much.
mm-hmm.
But if I took off those limits, I could create anything, really.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, you can. Yeah.
I also interpret this like the demands or the commands of life. Those are like kind of man-made constraints, they are other people's judgments of time and the proper use of time or the demands, but they're other people's constraints, not necessarily my own.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting to think about for me.
Because how often do we take on, well, you know, everybody else is doing it this way, and
Yeah.
it happened in this time. It should
Yeah.
happen that way for me too.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you know, it's again, you know, we create those I call them boundaries, or we put these ideas of how much we can have into a nice, neat little box that's going to fit with all the other nice, neat little box. But what if you busted that box open and went, I'll just take all those unlimited possibilities and they'll just flow as me and manifest in the absolute perfect divine timing for myself, whatever that is for me. Mm-hmm.
It also speaks to our worthiness.
Yes, it does. And our mental equivalence. Yeah. Like, how much good are you willing to receive? How much value, you know, do you place on yourself? Do you believe your worth? Yeah, for sure. And whatever you have created to this point can be changed, modified, or enhanced by new decisions. So again, this speaks to we are never bound by our history. That whatever we have created can always be changed. You know, it's like that thing of like, you can't change your mind. Well, yes, you can. Or you could tweak something. So how many limitations do we place on ourselves? And it's like, oh, you know, or not even allow ourselves to enhance something to make it even greater for ourselves. It's like, no, we're only, you know, I learned I'm worth this much, but I can't be worth that much more, or an unlimited amount. Okay, so I'm just going to ask you, and you reflect for yourself, and you can either write this down or contemplate on it. I'm going to ask the question, who are you? And you're going to answer, I am. And I'll say it again, who are you? And you'll answer, I am, and whatever that is for you. So to do this, what I want to do is actually start not by you being in your head trying to figure out who am I, but in dropping down into your heart space. So whether you want to put your hands on your heart, whether you don't want to put your hands on your heart, that's okay too. And I'm going to ask you to just close your eyes for a minute and imagine that you are breathing in and out through your heart space. So this is a gentle breath, about 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out. Breathing in and release and let go. Breathing into your heart space and release and let go. Breathing in and release and let go. One more time. Breathing in and release and let go. I'm going to ask the question, who are you? If you want to open your eyes and write something down, you can. Who are you? I am Who are you? I am. Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? And last time. Who are you? And then I'm going to have you close your eyes again. Breathing into your heart space. Release and let go. Breathing in. Releasing and letting go. And take one of your I am statements and breathe it into your heart space. And exhale. And last time, breathing in to your statement and exhale. And then, when you're ready, you can allow your eyes to open. Okay, what I'm going to do is ask each one of you to share 2 or 3 of your I am statements. And so, Lynette, can I start with you, please?
Okay, I am spirit. I am unlimited possibility. I am love. I am one with the universe.
And how did that feel?
Oh, divine. So great. Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
And Margaret Ann?
I am creative, I am spontaneous and dynamic, and I am peace.
Beautiful, thanks. And how'd that feel?
Peaceful.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. Okay, Monica.
I am divine creativity. I am love. I am faith.
How'd that feel for you?
Good. Very good.
Yeah, you'll sleep well tonight. Thanks. Lucy.
I wrote, I am truth, I am authentic, and I'm an expression of spirit.
What did that feel like?
Just for me, like calm and like, just like I know this. like I'm feeling like I really own this and that I really know this. So it feels very complete.
Mhm.
Complete.
Cool. Thanks. And Angela.
I am God. I am love. And I am perfection.
Mm. What'd that feel like for you?
Very expansive.
Yes.
Just very nice.
Okay. Thanks. And Judy.
I am fulfilled. I am an expression of divine love, and I am always healthy.
Mm. What was that like for you?
It feels like the truth.
Yeah. Yeah. Very powerful affirmations, huh?
Mhm.
And when we allow ourselves to really drop down and let those flow in and out through our heart space, it's allowing us to create this place of integration or coherence of spiritual truth. So very cool. So now, this beautiful quote by Emerson, to know yourself. And you all just, you know yourself by expressing so beautifully the spiritual truth of yourself. To know yourself, study nature. Be, I would say, a person, to make it more gender neutral, thinking. Be a person thinking, not a bookworm, tyrannized over by the recorded thought of others. Translate thought into action, for only so much do you know as you have lived. Trust yourself and never defer to the popular cry. Be free and brave. Remember that the world is nothing. In yourself slumber the whole of reason. For it is you to know all. It is for you to dare all. Welcome to Emerson. That long, prolific readings. But it really, what is he saying here? This idea of, you embodying all that you are and not buying into, other people's ideas of who you are, beliefs of the way you or anyone should be, but to, never defer to the popular cry, which means don't buy into that collective consciousness. Be free and brave in all of who you are. Put it out there. Put it out there. And, how many of us make ourselves small instead of daring to be all? So, here's a question for you. Look back at your life and discover 3 successful decisions you have already made, which were based on your individual truth rather than what others told you. I'm just going to give you a second I'll give you more than a second to ponder that. But what are 3 successful decisions you have already made in your life, which were based on you and who you are, rather than what other people's interesting points of view are about you? And when you're ready, if anyone cares to answer, share one or two decisions.
I can go, Helen.
Thanks.
So, it's, two things come up for me. So one very big one was when I decided that I wanted to go see my grandmother in Africa, and my parents were alive at the time in India. So I did a round the world trip. I quit my job and I traveled for 10 months. And I had everyone from my mother to my friends telling me that I should not be doing that. And, I traveled on my own. And my roommate joined me in Africa. But for the most part, I traveled on my own. And I backpacked through Australia and New Zealand. And I look back and see that that was something, the main reason was to go see my grandmother. And I'm so glad I did, because she died a month after that.
Wow.
Yeah. And, there was concern about my safety, all that, but this was, oh my God, 15 years ago, I think, but I know I was in that I'm safe. I'm taken care of. And I went ahead and did it. It was an amazing adventure. And yeah, I look back and see that I stood in that truth of, in that decision.
That's so beautiful. And I had no idea you did that. That's amazing, Lynette.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
I'll share.
Mm-hmm.
I've made a lot of decisions in my life, and very rarely have I listened to other people. I've just gone ahead and done things. But the biggest decision I made that other people did have something to say was when I was teaching for 20 years and I wanted out. And I made a decision that I was going to leave this 20-year job and do something else. And I had every confidence in, life would work out just fine. And I knew that I would find whatever it is fine. I didn't even know what it was. I didn't have that much of a plan other than hiring a career counselor for my last year of teaching. And I wasn't prepared when I left anyway, but I thought I knew everything. And I had people saying, what about your pension? I had a girlfriend's husband saying, don't poison my wife, because I think he thought I was influencing her to leave teaching, and he didn't want my influence on her. I didn't know what the heck he was talking about. I thought he was a bit off the mark. But I left teaching, and I never looked back. It was the right thing to do. Nobody leaves a contract like that, for life. You're there for life, more or less.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't there for life. I wanted out so badly. I was suffocating in this environment. It was for me at that time, it was a narrow environment, and I wasn't growing. I didn't know that at the time. I was also lonely. And I was so lonely in teaching that I had to get out. It was a lonely, lonely job for me. So I left with full confidence, made the decision, never looked back.
Very cool.
People thought I was nuts.
That's okay, and that's the whole point, is really knowing those times when you've honored yourself and made those decisions for yourself, despite what anybody else was thinking. Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you, Judy. Anyone else?
I think it's hard for me to analyze one or two particular things, because I think in lots of ways I've lived my life, certainly in the early years, maybe not so much in the last 15 years, deciding to do things that people told me I couldn't do because I had something to prove. And so there's lots of decisions that I made to do things. For me, the outcome was good. and I proved to myself that I could do it. But I think when I think about those decisions, they were all career decisions. But for me, the decision when my father was dying and when my mother was dying too, and that was a very challenging time. 7 siblings, a huge family, and lots of history. And I just made the decision to go in and to love myself and to love them and to be the most loving person I could be, and literally just be in that place for as long and as often as I could. And I've never regretted that, never regretted it. And in my mother's case, actually, I was in a one-day conference on the day she died, and I decided to turn my phone off and said, well, somebody will get hold of me if she dies. And at the end of the day, and it was the Church of England was on Truth and Reconciliation, and it just felt like the right place to be at that time. And I came out and called Arthur and said, I'm going up to see Mum. And he said, she's gone. I said, well, oh, okay, she's gone. Oh, no point in going. He said, yeah, I found out from Facebook. So I listened to the messages on my phone. Nobody had called me and said she died. All my siblings. I was like, wow, that was weird. But I decided to not let it define the next, well, anything really. It just was the way it was, you know. So.
Well, I think it's really powerful when we make a decision on how we're going to show up, right? The quality that we're going to embody to be present to another group of people, whether it's family or work or, you know, some function. And it's like, yeah, no matter what, I'm showing up this way, because all the rest of the experiences that are going on, I don't have to change who I am to fit into that energy system. And that takes an incredible amount of commitment that follows that decision to really stand in that place. Yeah, thanks, Monica. So just for a moment, sit quietly and ask yourself this question. Is there any decision I would be making right now except for other people's opinions? Is there some decision, any decision I would be making right now except for other people's opinions? Anyone come up with anything?
I can't think of anything specific, but I think that sometimes there are times when I might decide not to do something or say something if it's going to be feel hurtful to somebody. So I would think about that first, and maybe some things are better left unsaid or undone, and just think about whether it's worth saying or doing or not. Not so much a decision for myself. Well, I guess it would be something that I would say or do. Could I do without saying this or doing this? If there's a risk of hurting somebody or making somebody feel a little awkward, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
So Helen, I have something, and a very dear cousin of mine is in India and is in hospital, not doing so good, and an idea came to my mind about getting some money together and, and sending to help her. And I was going to enroll either, my other cousins or, do a GoFundMe or something. And I was speaking to my sister today, and she said, don't tell anybody because I don't think they want anyone to know. So I'm stuck in that meaning, not stuck, but I have a little bit of a, do I go ahead and do this? It's about respecting their wishes, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's just where I am. I'm just like, I want to be able to make a difference for her. And I know that money is an issue for them, and she's going to need some proper care if she makes it out of hospital. And so I'm just sitting with that right now, just trying to balance out honoring, and I don't know if it is her wish or it's just what my sister says, because this is like, this is another, I don't know, race kind of thinking. Oh, don't tell anyone this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because she did mention that, and I said, why not? If I tell others, then they can pray for her. They can well her, So and I think she said it's just because of how bad she is. They just want to wait till she got out of ICU, or so I'm having a little bit of
Of
I
a
haven't made
dilemma.
that yet.
Yes. And that's such a perfect example, like, because we all get kind of pulled in those dilemmas. So the only decision you can make right now is, first of all, go into your intuitive knowing, go into spirit and ask, right? What is mine to do here? What is mine to do from that purest intention of service? And you will receive, and this is the beauty of prayer, when we're open and we're praying for this, or having someone else pray for us or with us, that we receive that answer. That's the beauty of going into meditation with that. It's a perfect question to ask. What is mine to do, and how may I be of service to my cousin? The cousin that's ailing, not the cousin who's telling you not to do it.
Yeah, that's my sister.
Oh, your sister, yes. Because, every other person is going to have their own interesting perspective based on cultural shame, familial shame, fear, envy, whatever it is, right? But only you can answer that question and make a decision based from a knowing inside yourself. But that's a perfect example how so often we'll give our power away to somebody else's opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And so then we make a decision based on that person's opinion versus really going in and listening to that intuitive knowing. So prayer, meditation, contemplation, and asking and being open to receiving that answer for you. Yeah. Brilliant. Anybody else want to add anything before we move on?
I'd like to share with you that when my husband was alive, and I used to say to him, especially when I decided to leave teaching, to resign, and I said to him, thank you. Every time I make a decision, you're so supportive. And he said, okay, because I said, you're so agreeable. And he said, well, if I didn't agree, you'd just do it anyway. So anyway, that was just his perception of, and it was lovely to be so supported in my decisions.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we can only know for ourselves what the perfect decision is for us. So, we often make decisions out of fear, and we make decisions out of love. And I found this really interesting, very old YouTube video of Bruce Lipton talking about making decisions based on fear versus love. So I'm just going to pull that up here. And it's so funny because he must have been, this must have been when he was first
When I put them in the culture dish, I observe their behavior and do things. And one of the things that's very interesting, at the level of the cells of which we are based, there's only two behaviors. What are they? Moving forward is growth, and moving backwards is protection. So as you're thinking, what are you doing to the cells? You're giving them information about their environment. If you think that, oh my God, I can't make it through this lecture because the damn projector broke. Oh my God, what do you think my cells are going? Oh, Bruce, they're hiding out. On the other hand, it's like, cool, we can make anything. We can do anything. We can survive. And what are the cells going to do? Well, they're not going to shirk backwards. They're going to move forwards and grow. And there's a point where so much protection is used that you actually now short growth processes. And here's the beautiful part about it. And you know this. Love is the maximum nourishment for growth. When you're in love, you will run to that place wherever it is. You have to go over the mountain or through the mountain. You will be attracted to it so much. Why? Because love provides a whole system, all the hormones and connections of the system to do what? Provide for your growth and your maintenance and your health. However, the moment you get in fear, then what do you have to do? You back away, you wall yourself off, you separate from the environment, and the consequence is this. Protection from the environment cuts you off from the environment. Cutting yourself off from the environment cuts you off from life. My immune system is a very expensive organ system to run. It costs a lot of body energy to run. It's a very high energy usage. If I am trying to protect myself from something that threatens me on the outside, do I use my immune system for that job? Yes or no? What's the immune system function? Protection on the inside, so if bacteria or viruses get in me, okay? So if you're under stress, what happens to your immune system? It shuts down. And the reason why it does that is conservation of energy, because I'm dealing with the external environment as the source of the threat. Well, you know this as well as I know this. When you get stressed, whether it's at school or at work, when the stress levels get real high, that's when you get sick. Now, you thought that was bad enough. We shut down the viscera so we can run and so we're not getting growth. And we shut down the immune system because at that point it's not helping us with an external threat. Let me add the last kicker to it. In a fight or flight situation, do you think you would use neurological reasoning and conscious, like this, that? Or do you use reflex behavior? Which one? Reflex behavior. You know what? Reflex behavior is the hindbrain, and thinking and logic and reasoning are the forebrain. So here's what happens, and most of you have experienced it. The moment the adrenaline levels and the glucocorticoid levels rise to get you into a fight or flight posture, the blood vessels in the forebrain get squeezed shut and only feed the blood to the hindbrain. When you're under stress, you lose intelligence. It's required because it's not a time to be thinking, it's a time to be responding. So the bottom line is this: 3 things happen under stress, each one of them debilitating you at 3 different levels. Level 1, your viscera shuts down, your growth and maintenance mechanisms are reduced. Number two, your immune system is shut down or inhibited to conserve energy, which then allows opportunistic organisms free run of the playground. Number three, in response to the stress, you start operating from reflex behavior, and your intelligence in the response is now lost from the response.
So I was saying on my before it started, it came on really fast. This is like a really old video of Bruce Lipton. Like, I think he's done a lot of work in speaking, learning how to speak. But what I loved about that little clip is how he describes what happens to us on a physiological level when we are in fear, and the kinds of decisions that we make versus what happens to us not only on the physiological level, but on the mental level when we're in love, in the energy of love. Any other comments on that video? It was like, I know it's really fast and it was very poorly edited, but I thought it made a really good point of illustrating the difference between the fight or flight, or really responding and being able to be in the front neocortex of the brain. So here's what I want to do. I'm going to have you come back into a place of heart centering. So this is where, again, you're actually lowering those cortisol levels in the body. You're reducing the stress in the body so you can access the front part of the brain. I'm going to have you breathe into your heart space. And again, it's just that simple breathing of breathing in and releasing and letting go. And breathing in and letting go. Breathing in, releasing and letting go. And now asking yourself the question, if I weren't so afraid, I would. And just let that answer come up from your heart space. If I weren't so afraid, I would. 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 Then take another breath into your heart space. And when you're ready, you can allow your eyes to open. I'll just give you a minute or two to write down anything that came up there. So if I weren't so afraid, I would, and just get you all to name one thing. Who wants to start?
I'll start. If I weren't so afraid, I would improve my relationship with my brother.
Okay. Thank you.
I can go. if if I weren't so afraid, I would call my sister-in-law in New Zealand.
Hey.
I'll go.
Mm-hmm.
If I weren't so afraid, I would move out of Toronto.
Hey. That leaves Judy and Angela there. And Monica.
Okay, I'll go with the first one that popped into my head or came to me as soon as you said it, and that was I would swim with the dolphins.
Okay.
That's, yeah.
I didn't come up with anything. The only thing I could think of is were the things that I have a fear of heights. I would never jump out of an airplane. But I'm not going to say if I weren't so afraid I would jump out of an airplane because I don't want to. So I really couldn't think of anything.
Okay.
Other things that I actually genuinely fear, like heights. But I'm not going to do those things.
Okay. Thanks.
If I weren't so afraid, for me, I think I'd trust people more.
Ah, okay. So here's what I'm going to ask you to do is take that one thing, or you could take a few of them, but at least the one, and make a decision that feels right for you around that issue. And it doesn't have to be literal, like, Margaret Ann, do you mind if I use your example? Because it's totally self-serving me. If I weren't so afraid, I would move out of Toronto. Okay, well, now I'm going to decide to move out of Toronto. But maybe you want to make a decision around exploring some options. Maybe you want to make a decision at looking at what places would eventually be really important for you to go to. You know, so I'm not saying literally decide to move out of Toronto next week. And then what I want you to do is write a treatment for your decision. So I want to just do, spend the last little bit doing a recap of chapter 3, because there were some really good good gems in that chapter. So I'm just getting to the beginning here. Decision. And I'm just going to go through some points, and then if there's any points that really resonated for you as well, please bring them up. So I had here written in my notes, the biggest decision we can make is to express our divinity at all times. No creative process can begin until a decision is made. So if we go back to the teaching symbol of the creative process, we are deciding, whether we are aware of it or not, we are deciding in each and every moment what we are impressing into the law. And that the creative process awaits your decision and your calm acceptance of the necessary work on your part following the decision. That would be the action part, right? Because a decision is not a decision until action is taken. And then one other part in decision, no one else on earth is better equipped to determine your good than you are. The universe has no favorites, and God knows no special person. Others may have a more factual knowledge and more experience. They have this because of their own decisions. Consciously or subconsciously, they decided to think new ideas, read new sources of ideas, and execute definite plans based on new ideas they had assimilated. They know more because they decided to know more. And you can do likewise. And so what I invite you in that is to think of, where you really make decisions based on your limitations. I only know this much. Whereas you can decide to do more. And I mean, a perfect experience, thing that happened this morning when I was talking to my husband, and I had told him that one of the practitioners sent me a bunch of edits and corrections for the website. So I was up until midnight making all these corrections. And he goes, you know how to correct? Do you know how to change all that on the website? And I'm like, yeah, I can go in and change anything. He's like, you know how to do that? And I'm like, yeah, I decided to learn how to do it. It was a decision that I made. I didn't know how to do it 2 years ago, but I decided to learn that, and I know how to do it. So anything that we want, we can decide to really learn how to do it. That's our choice. And just jump in with comments, okay, at any time, because I'm going to whip through this. So, the invisible you. What's the invisible you? I was asking a good question, actually. Man, nobody's answering tonight. What's the invisible you? What do you know that to be?
Spirit.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. You are not just your body. You are consciousness. You are idea. You seem to extend into infinity, and you really do. And you know, the brain would not work without consciousness. But consciousness can still work without your brain because it can find another avenue to express. So you are not your body. You glimpse that you are an activity of thought and feeling moving through and participating in a continuum of mind. So that idea that the thought and the feeling, this energy is a continuum in that one universal expression of mind. I am consciousness frees you. It causes you to emerge into a larger consciousness wherein you are the all, and the all is what you are. And so we often talk about how we are that individualized expression of the universal mind. And that's what he means by saying, you are the all, and the all is what you are. Or as Rumi said, you are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop. You are measureless. At the center of your consciousness is a purpose, but not a plan. I think that's a really good one to get. At the center of your consciousness is a purpose. You know, we have a purpose, but not a plan. Our plan is determined by the choices and the decisions that we make. Your real purpose is you as consciousness, intuitively directed by ideas, free to move in consciousness as consciousness, experiencing endless fields of consciousness. So there's no measure to consciousness. And that's where we can expand and grow and learn if we choose to make that decision. But then we're also caught in the trapdoors in the mind. And this is your quote there, Lucy. True intuition does not deal with getting. It deals with self-awareness. True intuition, it deals with knowing who you are. It's all about, and that's one of the things I was saying on Sunday around the idea that, spirituality is good. I can demonstrate a parking space. I can get this. Woohoo. And then when we go for the bigger and it's harder and harder to get, people will give up and say, it doesn't work. And it's like, no, because it's not about getting. It's about being. It's about being and listening to that wise inner voice that's telling you, what decisions to make. It is not the infinite seeking to give you more things. Most of the readers of this book do not need more things. They need a larger sense of self. And this is where you're doing your prayer work. You're going to do affirmations and really get that sense that you are much bigger than anything materialistic, and to really know who that is. In seeing the material world as consciousness temporarily locked up in form, but never limited to the form in which it is functioning. So in seeing the material world as consciousness, because again, there's no separation. What we see in the material world is God, is spirit. And it's contained temporarily in form, but it's never limited to the form. It will always, always change. And that's the value of being detached to the material things. It's like, no, not always going to last forever. Not going to last forever. Stop defining the future. Evolution, with its steadfast unfoldment, its law and order, will take place no matter what your peculiar opinions may be. The infinite is not going out of business. No matter what the mind of man concludes, prophesies or prophesizes or speculates, it will continue to be itself. And that really speaks to also the impermanence of form. It's going to continue to be itself no matter what else is going on. When we're gone, that energy still continues to be spirit, that essence of who we are. Clarification. Any ideas that shift your attention from effect to cause clear consciousness? I have been explaining what I believe you really to be. You have to be more than which you think you are. There must be more to life than paying bills, raising families, and achieving some material success. And the other good part is, as you enlarge your self-concept and see yourself in the larger picture, so we're not just living in this one little world here, but part of something much bigger, you are wiser and your decisions will be wiser. First of all, you will cease your worry over wrong decisions. If this book does nothing more than that, it shall have valuable reason for being written. So imagine if, you didn't worry over whether it was a right decision or a wrong decision, but you were really listening to what was true from your own soul for you, despite anybody else's ideas. Wrong decisions. Every moment of your waking hours, you are making decisions. Most of these will be right. A few of them may be wrong. Over a period of time, you may discover that the decisions which you thought were wrong were actually right. How many of you have experienced that? It's like, oh my God. And then it's like, oh, actually that was a really good decision. I just wasn't, we get so caught up in what's right, what's wrong, what's good, what's bad. It's like, what's authentic? What feels light versus dark or heavy? Often the mist of material thinking beclouds our sense of values. Time clears our vision and we see things as they really are. And, interesting thing about values, and I really do invite you to take some time and write down 5 values and then number them from 1 to 5. Which is your top value, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th? And then go, okay, so my top value, maybe it's listening to my spiritual self. Maybe it's, integrity. Maybe it's my family. Maybe it's, for some people, one of their top 5 values is making money. I have no judgment about that. It's whatever your values are. But when you're challenged, which value are you going to choose? are you going to be able to really go, which is more important to me? Integrity or making money? Or my family? Or love? Or spirit? You know, like, and see, get really clear on what are you going to choose, no matter what. And, you know, just play with it in different situations so that you know there's no right or wrong to what you choose, except that it's got to feel right for you. Goal decisions. Man does not live by bread alone. He lives by making decisions. Or we do not live by bread alone. We live by making decisions. In many, many years of counseling people, I have learned a great deal about the art and science of making healthy decisions. Most of the people who have consulted me were in problems. These problems were mainly the result of wrong decisions. They always ask, why did I do it? But there has to be more than an explanation of why a negative situation has happened. There has to be hope. Unless I can revive a hope in these people, I cannot help them. And that is something that I think, you know, all of us are really, you know, and I'm not saying, I hope I win the lottery, not that kind of hope, but a sense that there can be something greater for us and a hope for humanity, a hope for a better world can lift us out of despair and the hopelessness. And so hope is a, you know, it's a really, in science, in religious science, Ernest, you know, hope kind of gets poo-pooed, but we need to have hope that there's healing. We need to have hope for love. So it's not necessarily a bad thing as long as you're not going into fantasy, but it's an actual movement of energy to move us out of that sense of despair. There has to be an expectancy of approaching good for a mind to be healthy. Tomorrow has to be interesting in order to live creatively. The depressed person does not know this. The attention is fixed upon why he or she is in the problem. The creative thinker's attention is fixed on how to get out of their problem. This might benefit the reader of this book to pause and find out which attitude is theirs. It is obvious that there are no final problems. There is always a solution to any situation. Always. And so, you know, do we go into situations just looking at the problem, or are we looking for a solution and a decision to make to rise above the problem? Okay, when is good good? When is good good? Good is good anytime. Too many people whom this world labels as good are actually static, frightened people. They lack the courage to do wrong. Because what's the value of making mistakes, right? And missing the mark. They're some of our greatest learning opportunities. This is not true goodness, as you well know. It's a static consciousness maintaining the present in hope that it is a static consciousness maintaining the present in the hope that that is the answer. Only a mind with a creative goal is a sound mind. So it's always being opening up to what's possible, what's next, what can be done here, where do I actually look for a solution versus getting locked into fear. And then just a couple more things. The danger of complacency. Complacency is an evil. That's what he says. And I'm like, okay, evil? I don't know if I'd say evil. I'd just say maybe it's not all that helpful. But he does go on to say, it has no place in the creative process. When it enthralls your mind, subconscious troubles begin. And why is that? Because we're not being clear. Where our mind is going willy-nilly. And just the last thing here in goals. The word is a taunting one to many. The aged say it's too late. The youth say they have no chance. The middle-aged state their limited aims and think they are sufficient. I dare you to think in great terms. I challenge you to dream a great dream. Nothing is impossible to those who decide upon possibility. The infinite responds by corresponding, by becoming the thing you have determined shall be. The framework of your preconceived opinions is only limitation to your begetting. These are subject to change at a moment's notice when you have arrived at a decision. So again, this is a real invitation. Those things that you said, if you weren't so afraid, I would. It's only, we think, oh no, I couldn't have all that. I couldn't do that. And so I hope you're still creating some sort of dream book, like was suggested, so that you set your mind beyond the possibilities that your mind sets out for you, and that the possibilities that we believe are possible there are more possibilities that are possible. I don't know if that even made any sense whatsoever. Just shake your head no. That's making no sense, or yes, that is. But what I'm trying to say is that do not let your limitations or that have been set for you limit your possibilities, because there's so much more potential out there, and it's about clearly making a decision towards that. So any comments before I give you homework? Can we close off for the night?
I just want to briefly say that when we were talking about hope, there's different layers to hope for me. There's the fantasy hope, and then there's the faith hope, the faith-based hope of knowing. It's a funny word.
Yeah, it is. It really is. Yeah, and a lot of people get stuck in the fantasy hope versus the faith hope. Yeah. So you've got the steps of treatment. Your assignment for class 4, read the next chapter. And what I want you to do is write at least 5 affirmations that remind you of your true nature of unlimited potential. Write 5 affirmations to open your mind to your intuition. And write 5 affirmations that recognize your oneness with all life. And make sure you're writing the affirmations in the first person present tense, and please send them to me. And then I will send out prayer partners again, because I think it's really good. And you can write a treatment for the decision you're making. If I wasn't so afraid, I would. And so therefore, I will decide to, whatever that is for you. Okay. Any final questions or comments?
When you say, if I weren't so afraid, I was having trouble with that, but I could maybe substitute the word doubt. Like if I weren't so doubtful about my ability to do something. I just picked up my new car today. It's a leased vehicle, and there's no spare tire. And inside, in the back there was this thing where it had the thing for a pump for the tire and all this other stuff for filling in whatever. And I'm thinking, like, I won't be doing that. If I hit a flat tire, I'll be calling what do you call CAA. But I was thinking, oh, I can't do that. Now, is that fear? It's just doubt, like I won't be doing that, but maybe I can do that. So that just occurred to me. I'm afraid to fix my own tire.
There you go.
There's my fear.
Yeah. And yours may get blanketed over in doubt or other, and it's a really good point, because I think it happens for all of us is, it gets covered over in doubt or indecision. But really, if we recognize that there are two feelings, fear and love. And so, if we're in guilt, there's fear. If we're in doubt, there's fear. If we're in indecision, there's fear. So, yeah, just play with it a little bit. Yeah. So you can write a treatment, Judy, on deciding that you will be able to change your tire. It's perfect. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for class tonight. And here's what I know is that we all make decisions that are so brilliantly purposeful for the evolution of our journey. And that once we've made that decision, the universe conspires to make it happen. And so with that, there's only order, for order is heaven's first law, and all is well. Love and blessings to you all. And so it is.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.
Good night.